Hey there, everyone. Yep, another live tonight. How about that? This time I don't have to work, but I do have to go up to the convenience store to get some milk. Who's with me? Yeah, I'm doing the coffee. And doing, I know, my bad habit, cigarette. I don't know. Maybe I come up with a new YouTube channel name. Coffee Teeth. Coffee Teeth. I don't have these really bright, white, shiny pearls. Hey, hello. How you doing, viewer? Hope you're having a good night. This is James with The Simple Prepper. Yeah, I just finished watching the tail end of Magic Preppers live. I didn't catch everything in the show. I'll have to go back and catch up on it when it gets reposted as standard video. Thank you for the like. Thank you for the like. Appreciate it. Hey, GXG! You made it! Nice to see you. This is James with The Simple Prepper. Yeah, I'm in my car. Sometimes I go live before I go online, driving Uber late night, but tonight I'm off. So it was neat catching the tail end of Magic Prepper. And what area of the country you having to work so late yourself? Yeah, I got a bad habit. I'm smoking a cigarette. That's why I put it on here, not made for children. Yeah, I was going on about my coffee teeth. Indiana, right on. I'm here in ATX, Austin, Texas. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster driving Uber here. Pretty hard on the budget that way, trying to save what good nights, little extra money you might have made for other nights that were really slow. Hey, love hippo. I love hippo. How about it? Glad you can join us. Sorry about the little static from my CB. Someone's barely breaking the squelch in the background on channel 19. Box boy, hi. Anybody in the snow? We might get snow here even in Austin, Texas on Thursday. But even yesterday, earlier in the day, a friend posted northwest side of San Antonio, and they got about an inch and a half. Hey, thank you, Box Boy. Thanks for subbing. I appreciate that. I hope you're all having a warm time of things when it's getting a little cooler and having these cold fronts push and cold and ice storms push across the country. Actually, my car's just warming up before I go up to the store. The storm just barely missed me. Right on. Well, GSG, man, hopefully you don't catch a big one this year. Hopefully we all don't. But hopefully you got your preps in case you do. Thank you, Box Boy. If you're just stopping by, I hope to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, you like I said earlier, I can only do 3 comments. Oh, right on, Cypress. Hey, how you doing, 268? And you don't have to answer. I get it. Santa Claus. What? The beard? I don't have it grown out long enough to do a Santa Claus. Yeah, if I grew it out, I had a few inches to it, that would be good. I know. Man, I started having that salt come in when I was 16. Now they just call me White Walker. or one of them calls me White Feather. You know, that's my my Native American name. I do have I think 1/8 to about 1/10 or so Cherokee on my mom's side. But let's see. Good. What about you? Yeah. Doing okay. It's nice to be off tonight. Be nice when we get past into the second weekend of the month. Maybe someone's got a paycheck under their belt and they want to go out and need an Uber. Yeah. Conchatone? Am I saying that right? See, God bless you. Thanks. Same with you, Box Boy, man. God bless you and your family too. I hope it all has a good start to the new year and a safe and safe start. I hope things calm down around the world, including here in the States. Man, we could use some normality, right? Some assuredness, but never let your guard down. Always be aware. I mean, I know I sort of, I'm a very light sleeper too. I don't know. Maybe it got trained into me, and even from the point of basic training and some of the training and some of the posts in the field, and then also some of my commission security training I had when I was young. Just it's always that like awareness that's hard to fall into a deep sleep when it's time for sleep. It's like I can't turn my head off, you know. Things may be almost boring, but I don't know. My head doesn't always turn off for a good going into a power sleep. I just can't switch it on and off like some people can. I wish I could. Yes, sir. Only in National Guard. I was reservist. Did that for 6-2, and then a little bit later was able to get on with a security company, and they put me in some of the unsavory areas of town where we had contracts. But yeah, I never wanted to go so far as being adult babysitters like PD has to be, man. I feel for some of those people who are time tied up with petty stuff and bickering, you know, amongst people, and they call the police, you know. Now I just try to prep for at least short-term disasters, encourage others to do that. Man, during the Snowmageddon here in Texas, you know, I've had some riders since then. They said, yeah, they went hungry for over a week. And it's like, yeah, need to stock a little bit of non-perishables at least. Up in the Northeast, man, it's just a common thing. They get ice weeks. And if they're even walking to a store because they can't drive or get there, and they walk, a lot of times either it'll be closed or shelves will be wiped out. So definitely keep a few extra things, you know, get it as you can. Keep things in rotation. I like the buy two rule. You know, you go to replace one. When you go to the store, replace the item. See if you can buy two. And then next time you use one of those items, you go to the store again, don't just replace that one with one. Replace it with another two until you get the depth of pantry that you want or feel comfortable with or have room for. I know not everybody has room for everything or the funds and the budget for everything right off the bat. I totally get it. But it feels good just to be able to talk to you guys, you know, and I wish I had you all in a room and we can all be conversing. That would be pretty cool. I mean, we got it virtually, but it's not the same as hearing from people, you know, directly and their interests. I know you have probably ideas that just pop off your head. It'd be neat to hear. But yeah, I started watching Magic Prepper a while back, and I really liked that one where he talked about what the government would do in case of being attacked, possibly with nuclear bombs or other warfare, that the government would try to rein in on control of commodities such as food and give it to who's most needy for our military purposes and governmental purposes, and ration to everybody else, and almost take from other people too. So it's good to have some just basic inventory that they wouldn't necessarily want to come after. They'll keep you sustained. If you ever saw that video, I call it, because I sort of repeated what he talked about with a AI voice. I just put it to text and let it speak it, and it's called The First Thing, So Start Prepping. I left a link to Magic Prepper's video in the description of that, for that one video. So you might be able to check out both if you like, if you haven't gotten to see that one. Oh, you're very welcome. Sorry I didn't read the last part of that, but cool, yeah. Thank you for your support and for supporting all those that do. Yeah, my section leader was an old Nam vet, and he served as infantry in 1st Cav. He did a couple years. His second year, he pulled grave detail for that entire year. And there's even a picture of him running in a ravine with the upper and lower receiver separated of his M16, one in each hand, running with other soldiers down the way. Picture of him in is Soldiers of Fortune or Soldiers of War. Can't remember. There's a big old book, and in there, at that time, my roommate, actually, the unit armor, he got in that book and he was looking at that, seeing Sergeant Simpson, Robert Simpson, and my goodness, take 30 years and 30 pounds. Oh, that's Robert. Sure enough, it was. And he said, yeah, I remember that time. You hear gunfire close and it's not your own, and you're not ready for it. You go hide. You go find cover. So yeah, small world. But yeah, I remember the military is actually a small world all around. Right on. Yeah, my father was in the Navy. My Uncle Charlie was in the Air Force. My mom's brother, I don't think he served in the military, but he got into electrical engineering and then became a programmer for a contracting company for NASA and government, with government contracts. He programmed navigational systems for shuttle and missile guidance systems. So in a way, roundabout, he sort of served. I'll open up this other window, vent the smoke a little bit. And my father sailed on USS Independence for a year. He did one of those 2-year terms. And first year, onshore, and then second year on the USS Independence before it was converted to nuclear. And he had some neat stories to tell about different things. Sort of like when they're sailing in the Med, and there's a reported F4 had splashed in the water and splashed down, and they're racing to go pick up the pilot, and the Nimitz was also in the Med, but twice as far away, and still beat them to the splashdown location. Yeah, it's back when Independence was a steamer. Wow. Grandma, dad, brother, cousins, uncle. Yeah, I'm sure some people knew people, and it's sort of like a big old family in a way. I was at my job training, uh, you know, job skill training at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. This is beginning of '89, like January, and there was this Air Force staff sergeant that was taking the same class as me, but a rotation ahead of me because they don't take classes with the trainees. They keep the NCOs and people already past, already being in their unit and stuff and going for extra job skill courses separate from the trainees. But I had to stop him in the hallway one day and say, Sergeant, I know it's a small world. Maybe you know my uncle, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Tucker. He goes, no, I know your uncle, Colonel Charles Tucker. He signed my last performance statement in Hawaii. That's how I found out my uncle did re-up, because he wasn't going to re-up unless he got his promotion. So that was unique. And yeah, so going through boot camp, Fort Dix, New Jersey, into '88, and then going to Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, for the rest of that winter. Yeah, that was cold. I guess I got my cold weather training in, right? But speaking cold, that's what we're coming up on. And I listened to Ryan Hall, y'all. That's what he calls himself, Ryan Hall, y'all, on YouTube, and catch some of his updates on storms and what's coming across the area. Here in Austin, we might get a little bit of snow, but we're at that fringe edge of that storm of possibility. If we get anything, we might get a little freezing precipitation. It might stick on some of the bridges on the roadways, but probably melt where it's on ground tarmac. So hopefully driving Uber won't be so bad. I may just take off Thursday when they predict it. So then I have some digitizing of old sermons that were recorded on cassette tapes that need to be salvaged before they degrade so much they become inaudible. My parents' old church and their minister. So been working on that, and thank goodness they're able to find a little bit of money to pay me for my time with doing it, because that really helps out with it being slow on Uber and everybody being so tight on their wallet. But it's a good thing to preserve those type of things, and teachings and instruction that really have a lot of meaning. But these days, not everybody's so hip to, but if they're digitized, they may have better access to it. So that's what they're doing. I did run my generator for a little bit today. Got pulled out, had to reset one of my CCTV cameras, because about every 3 days to a week and a half, they log off and don't log back in or lose their connection to the Wi-Fi. So I really want to get a hardwired system for that can work upon UPS, and I can monitor around the house more easily if power goes out. Because without power, then for a while, if it's more than a day, then even the substations for Spectrum's cable modem stuff lose their power if they're in an area that's fed off a grid and they're not giving power to it. So there's no connectivity through their whole internet grid they have set up on their wired system. So I want to be able to monitor things around the house personally and see it. Sort of like good old school CCTV. I used to install a lot of it, and I even installed those old Pelcos Spectrodomes. Back in the day, those had nice optics. You can almost zoom in on a flea from 30 yards away. But so I did my share of that with alarm, access control, and CCTV, and satellite dish installs for Dish Network. So any good skills you've learned like that can help you with other electronic hookup, whether it's small solar projects to, I don't know, maybe repairing something. So GXG, what type of work do you do? Are you having to stand a security guard shift somewhere or something like that? Machinist, okay. You're having to oversee equipment as it's doing its thing, I guess. Either that or I'm surprised you're finishing out a work shift. If it's a manual setup, I know you'd have to put your attention to it. Turning that wheel on a machine, guiding over after you have the mill blades working, turned on. But right on. Once in a while, yeah. I would love to have a small little lathe that was pretty universal with being able to mill something, the flat surface of something to smooth it out, or maybe even turn something on a lathe. That'd be neat, but those are all mechanical, I know. If you're working in a big company, they probably have a lot of automated stuff for making parts. So a lot of times you just have to make sure everything stays calibrated and where the next item comes in to get worked on by the machine comes in properly. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, I'm sorry I'm running out of thoughts for you. Yeah, you see the Longhorn emblem? I'm right here in the middle of Texas. My parents and grandparents all grew up here in Austin as well. See, it's about 50-50 with our automation. Okay. I always think that stuff is interesting to watch on YouTube's, those different type of how it's made type shows, and seeing the process of machines, turning and machining other product. I mean, or parts, that culminate when you put them together, make a product, and that's cool. You being a part of it, that's pretty cool. It's almost as good as being a truck driver as far as your importance. You get the goods here, either that or make the goods. And making goods, wish we can do more here in the States, a lot more. I mean, it's not like we don't have the people to do it. We do. And we have young individuals that would love to learn that. Sort of like me, I wanted to get into working when I was younger with construction and remodeling. So I got in with one company, and they're doing all the facelifts on the Popeyes restaurants and the Sonic restaurants, drive-thrus or drive-ins, and having to change out a lot of stuff, do a lot of painting, fix like the Sonics. They had some cracked driveways of where you come in and park, and they had used some jackhammers and picks and take out the old sections of cracked concrete because of ground settling maybe or shifting, and then relay new concrete. I wanted to get in on that, and they had guys that did pressure washing for them. They would go regularly to the different stores. I wanted to be able to get in on that. He was going to do that until their lead guy over a lot of their crews brought in a nephew from Mexico because he's from Mexico and they're working on green cards. And so the kid got the job. And, I had my own vehicle, a trailer hitch, half ton, and I would be able to pull the trailer and everything. Now they're going to have to buy that kid a truck to be able to do it. He doesn't speak English, and he's getting good job skill training and work before me, and I'm here and born here and already ready and wanting to do it. I mean, there's so many cliques like that, culture cliques, where some of us have gotten forced out of being able to get OJT to work. They only want you if you've been working in it a while, otherwise they're going to train someone in from a labor family, I don't know how, I've gotten shoved out by family and other jobs too, but they're from here. Like Circle Stereo, and he wanted to bring his son in for the summer, so he laid me off. I was a bench tech, did all the basic services and some of the mechanical overhauls on VCRs, cassette decks, fixing CD players when the spindle motor would get bad, cleanings, amplifier and stereo receiver, basic service cleanings. If I had something else over my head, it would go to my boss's bench, like IC Logic control functions, those type of things on a little bit newer product. But we worked on vintage high-end stereo equipment. And I was set up with a bender that was attached to an oscilloscope and set with the settings so I can check for opens or shorts on main driving transistors and amplifiers. That was a lot of times when someone cranking their stuff up too much for too long and one of their speakers shorted and then caused a short in the amp, and then we're having to repair it for them. But back then it was cost effective to repair. Now you just buy something new. Crazy times. That's cool. I know GXG, you're probably like listening to Magic Prepper with the gun talk and all that stuff about different caliber sizes and what this and for application, what not. Yeah, I was a small arms repairer in National Guard, but grew up in a family that loved to hunt and fish as well. And a little bit later on, I saw a need for a lot of those spent shells from practicing at the range, and a good avenue. And I started making bullet jewelry. Started cutting the head stamp off the back sides of the shells, using that as a setting on different jewelry findings. Got into solder brazing with some of it, onto stainless steel findings, using silver solder. That was cool. But you like magic's prepping stuff more than gun models and stuff. Okay. But then with cutting so many bullet shells and stuff, I sold thousands of pieces of jewelry at the gun shows. The guy is going over to the Guns and Gear, getting his new toys, and the wife bringing the kids over and seeing my table and buying themselves some adornments. And that's one way I was able to write off my range time as a business expense, along with ammo and the guns I used to be able to shoot the ammo through, to be able to use some of the spent shells from some of the ammo that I shot off, because some people like that silver color, so nickel-plated brass. And I did actually sell quite a bit of it to... Sound like you're good at my weak area. Electronics. Oh, okay. A little bit. Well, I sort of got into the CB radio stuff as an inexpensive prep since you don't have to go through ham license training and all that stuff. Yeah, it's the wild, wild west on CB radio, 11 meters, wild, wild west of ham. But truck drivers use it, and it's helped me out on the highways, even driving customers on Uber, especially along the major highways here where the truck drivers go. And they'll pipe up about any lane closures or better exit this mile marker, you're going to be stuck, that sort of bit. So it's a lot quicker than some of the navigation maps will show. And so I got into two-way radio stuff as a backup comm. During that Snowmageddon, we lost our cell towers 4.5 hours after power went out, because they tried to do the rolling blackouts. After 2 hours, the power tried to come back on. It just blipped and went off. Well, they're not thinking. It's that cold. Everybody still has a thermostat turned on, and they don't turn the breakers off for when the power comes back on, and everybody come back up slowly. All the houses are on a full load and pop the fuses on the main distribution risers. And so they try to come out and replace the fuse, keep doing it, keeps popping, keeps popping, keeps popping. They had to wait till it warmed up. So some people in my neighborhood didn't have power for 10 days after all that. And we had lost water for a few days as well during the 5.5 days we didn't have electric ourselves. So after that, we got a generator, had an electrician put an inlet plug on our main breaker, and that way we can power most items in the house. Not all the appliances at the same time, but we had the money to get at least a big enough generator. We can even power our air conditioning unit, but we have gas furnace, so at least we still had gas pressure through the winter. Yeah, I get it. But that kept us warm because we had gas cooking, while our other neighbors, I guess 3 out of 5 neighbors, almost in our whole neighborhood, went to other places, hotels that were on grids that stayed on. In other places, people they knew that were like on a grid that had a hospital or something like that they kept the grid on for. But with the rolling blackouts, a lot of Austin, Central Texas area, they couldn't come back on when they turned the power back onto it because there's too much of a load at each of the distribution points at that time. So it's not like where the thermostats had settled down, because it wasn't running all the time. And all of these new homes and mobile homes and apartments, they're all making all electric. Well, they don't have a backup for that, So yeah, it's another, man, you're hitting 2 notes with that one word, weak. Not just about your own sentence. But yeah, it's one of those things. They need to add a lot of things here to improve the infrastructure for how much growth we had in the Austin area. The grid down scenario is no joke, and it's not good. We came within minutes of losing our whole Texas grid. If we lost our whole Texas grid, who knows how long it would take to do what they call a black start. It could have taken months. And because power plants need electricity, extra help from another power plant to be able to get their plant up and going, and then until it can fire and keep things going on its own, and then add loads. And then they have to measure all the frequencies out on that to keep the hertz constant at 50 or 60 hertz, depending on your grid. And so adding them up and everything have to equal out as they do a black start can take a long time. So do watch that other video I got. When you got time, I got the whole documentary, Grid Down, Power Up, GDPU, on that last actual video I did. Is an upload where YouTube was able to allow me to upload that from a not a private viewing, but a public viewing by Texas Senator Bob Hall. Showed it for the rest of Texas Congress in light of a bill they're trying to introduce to get to the floor to protect the Texas grid from EMP, GMD, such as CME, or effects of, and other vulnerability protections. So that's a good one to watch. It's about 55 minutes long on the dock, and they have their own panel discussion from some of the people that were in the video, in the documentary. It's narrated by Dennis Quaid. Thank you. Yeah, check out that last video if you want to see. You need to fill some time or rest your shift. If you got 55 minutes to put it on, get past about the 4 or 5 minutes at the beginning, it'll start the documentary on that one. And I don't think enough people got to see that. I hadn't gone to public on the normal networks or anything to show. And it's worth the watch, and encourages people to get with their representatives to push the issue for the whole country. It probably costs less than a third of what we've given Ukraine to be able to retrofit to protect our entire grid against EMP. High altitude nuclear blast causing EMP. 300 miles up, man, maximum effective area and diameter is about 3,000 miles. So that's one of my fears, because it wouldn't take much for them to pull that off, straight up off each coastline, before interception missiles could be able to take them out. They would be able to detonate at a high altitude and blanket from each side the entire nation to take out electronics in our grid. Imagine no grid, no electronics, probably about 2/3 of vehicles not able to run, and then no gas station pumps, no water being pumped from the water plant, from your local water, no gas being pumped, natural gas. Man, that'd be like 2 to 5 years before getting the country back up with electric. And that'd be because of help from outside. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is the prospect of that, or another Carrington event in our age of new electronic frontier that's not protected. So I mean, that's a big one. Being able to learn to live off the land and be able to have plenty of water and plenty of food without a whole infrastructure that relies on electricity. I mean, so many people rely on pharmaceuticals. You know, my parents are in their 80s, and they require some of that. And there's not going to be transport of any of that. Not going to be delivery of any of that. Not going to be a system to be able to report that you can buy it. If you got Bitcoin or crypto, you're not going to have anything liquid if you have all your stuff tied up into that. You need to get some physical asset that can be monetary value in trade. You know, that's a basic prep right there. And food and water will become trade, will become money for other items, just like in the old days. And, you know, early 1800s and before, a lot of people traded. Some people grew this type of plant or vegetable, and these other people grew fruit. And you trade some for that because they don't grow what you grow. Definitely skills like you got. If you can do manual machining and ironsmith work, my goodness, you know, you're going to be needed. If you have a capability to make a manual sawmill that can be turned by a river stream, you know, from flowing water. If you can make a mill house to mill grain, if you know how to do that and can put it together or figure it out and do it, then, man, it can It can feed a community. You'll be worth your skills. You know, and your asset will be longevity in food, I hope. So, man, everybody needs to learn to work together. Not want to kill and take. You know, that's just not the methodology to steal from others by taking them out and taking their stuff. If you can work together, that's good. Man, all these movies about, you know, if this happened, what people would do. Yeah, someone would probably be doing it. But I think more as a community would take out that harmful, that bad apple, that bad player capability of doing that. And show them it's better to work with everybody and protect it than just take it over and let it, your crops die off, you know, or this or that, you know. So I don't know. There's some sick-minded people these days that they just don't know what would be good. And they're sort of, in a sense, shooting themselves in their own foot. Longevity-wise, they're not going to have anything else. It's sort of like people that live by taking other people's money. Then, at one point, people aren't going to have any more money. You keep on taking. But, yeah, I'm going to need to get up to the store and get some milk and a few other things, take it back to the house. And I hope you guys, I'm sorry, I get into a deeper thought on things and a little bit sad about prospect of how people would react and how people are not prepared. And that's why we try to say, you know, please have you some basic preps at minimum, so you can at least hold over for a week to several months, whatever you can be able to do to either bug in. If your only option is to bug out, find someone that you can bug in with where you bug out to. Because if you're just all by yourself, stuck out in the open and camping and trying to hide, there's already so many of those right now. They're called homeless. And they're in every little nook and cranny of the woods around cities. We got them here. So you're good for a while. One can never have enough preps. That's true. I wish I get my wife on the same boat on that. She only wants to prep or stock food as far as non-perishables or whatnot until our normal cabinetry is filled. I got to clean up some room, make some better stock space, and she'll be okay with it. She's like that fish that only grows to her aquarium. So, yeah, I need to do some more. I'm in a mobile home. It's not like I can really add to it because we rent the lot, we own the home. And we can't do some things on the property here. HOAs, right? It's sort of like that. It's just it's not our property. So we're more limited. My wife is on board with it, but doesn't want to learn the skills. Well, hopefully she can cook. Can she cook well? The big thing is being able to prepare something, you know, that you're going to like to eat upon cooking it. So if you get that rabbit and you're able to cook rabbit, you need to know how to cook rabbit. You know, a lot of people don't know it's fairly bland. you'll want seasonings. You know, my wife's second gen Sicilian. She grew up in Chicago, and her whole family knows how. I mean, I think they're all truly chefs, and especially at heart, and they know how to cook stuff from A to Z. Um, my wife, like I said last night on last night's live, she knows how to make a really good venison stuffed backstrap, and a very simple recipe. You know, your normal salt, peppers, whatever. But what she does is, I'll check this in a sec. But what she does is she cleans the silver skin off on the portion we're going to prepare, cuts it down the side, be able to butterfly it open, and then you know, where it can hinge back. But puts cream cheese, a little raspberry jam, a little bit of sriracha sauce in moderation to cut the sweet from the raspberry. Puts it back together, fully weave wraps it and borders it in bacon, and in the oven for about 30-40 minutes. And that came out being the most tender yet richest tasting venison I have ever had when she prepared it that way. Not that it takes doing it just that way to be able to do it, but I think sealing it up with the bacon, wrapping it, or the bacon totally all the way around it, shrunk down on it to seal in the juices as it cooked. Really tenderized and kept moist the inside. So that really helped it out. Let's see. It says all the other stuff is on me. I said, what if I'm not here or dead? Yeah, true. Very true. But then again, some people, they only want to cook for two. They don't like cooking much if it's just for themselves. You're going to be hungry at one point. You're going to fix something. You're going to do something. You know, even if you gather pecans from the pecan trees out there. Sorry about that. Yeah. Making you hungry. I'm making myself hungry, but I just ate before I left. So, had me some Kung Pao chicken. Trader Ming's from Trader Joe's. I keep that as one of the first backups I can go through, because when we lose refrigeration, then it's a good tide me over before I get into the other canned and jarred items. Yeah, of course, eat all the veggies and fruit snacks, you know, they're just in the fridge along with that. You don't want to go bad, don't want to waste it. If you can save the seeds and grow other things like I did with my peach tree, first, it's not quite mature enough to give me really good peaches yet. Hopefully this next season in spring, maybe it will. Maybe it will. It's going into its third year. So already 2 years old. And when it was a young tree, when I grew up from a peach seed, from a peach that I bought at the store, when it's about 1.5 to 2 feet tall, it actually it lived through that snowmageddon, sitting out in that big pot outside, not being covered. Peach trees can handle the cold, but they need water in the summer. They need a little help in the summertime. But other than that, peach trees, man, they'll fare the cold weather and ice. They may lose their leaves. You have beans and cornbread. Wait, oh, well, don't let me keep you waiting. GXG, Gen X Gemini, yeah, man. Go grab something to eat, my friend, and hopefully you'll feel better. Besides, you need that lunch break. If you haven't had your break from work, or are you talking about after work? Okay, when you get home. Right on. When you get home, manja manja. That's what my in-laws would say. That and about other things that my wife is fixing and sent to them, like her date nut bread she makes. They say, molto bene. Oh, yeah. That whole family, some of them live in New Orleans area. Actually, her cousin still owns their family, that side of the family's restaurant, Radastas, in New Orleans. And it's been around a while. Well, man, okay, I'll try to fill a few more minutes for you. But anybody else have any questions about, say, EMP protection? Yes, I'm a sales affiliate for EMP Shield, and they're one of the only companies I've found that's had their product tested, and actually their product's been tested by Keystone Compliance, and at least they far exceeded DoD's required specs for U.S. military use. It says there's 4 people in here. Where's everyone? Well, I don't have a large following. Sorry, I'm a little bit more of a conversationalist as opposed to laying out all the news for you. I know some of you on here, like GXG, keep up with the latest, especially from some of the people like, I don't know, there's not just Magic Prepper, there's Canadian Prepper, there's Local Prepper, there's a whole slew of them that have a lot of good info. Me, I simply try to just encourage people at least to start out and prep for short-term disaster and then build upon that. You know, I mean, it's simple, really. I mean, people do it in the Northeast coast for ice weeks. You know, I was born here, and it's like, makes sense to me. So sometimes they go with 2 or 3 ice weeks in a row and just have some extra stuff for that time. Well, how about keep that amount of time's worth extra stuff all the time, just keep it in rotation. And there you go. At least you have a start on it. Everybody starts from 0 on prepping. It's not like someone just gave them everything. Everybody has their own choices, their own tastes. I'm diabetic. I can't have all the starches, you know, so I have to prep with different items and foods, non-starchy vegetables. I can't have all the bread grains, you know, definitely not the corn starches. Well, I'll get back to you, GXG, man. Well, I'm not on my phone. When I get back on my computer, I'll go give you a sub, my friend. Definitely. Definitely do that. I'm off tonight. Yeah. So, and no, I'm not doing the Texas A&M symbol. But I will say, hook 'em Aggies. Like some of them will say, gig 'em horns. Root for everybody. Hope everybody does good. My rooting for people is I hope they do well in their academia and also life skills. No problem. Right? All right. Hook 'em horns. Let's see. It's 10 degrees outside. Boo. Wow. Count Trumpula. Right here, my car's saying 37, but I know it's about 1 to 3 degrees lower than that from what my car actually says. So it's about 35 here. I hadn't got down to that freezing mark yet like it's supposed to by morning here in Austin. But we'll see it. Some of my plants won't make it. Some will. My neighbors, they went and wrapped up their plants, their outdoor decorative plants. I wish they would plant more decorative, not decorative, but instead of decorative, food plants. Plant more food, not grass, not lawn. Now, how do you get people to do that? You get hip to that. 21 there. Right on. Yeah, people's heaters going and they're burning all that electricity. And they could be using a little bit more of that clean natural gas. You know, I heard propane burns cleaner than standard liquid natural gas. And people have gas cooking from natural gas in their home. And they're worried about the burnt fumes from that. It's like, well, use propane, it'll be even cleaner. See, next storm's going to be yeah. It's going to push down through Ryan Hall. Y'all says that it might push on through. Not sure if I'm doing this right for this being reverse image. Push on through out down south before that storm pushes up the northeast coast. So it might go out to sea before pushing up towards the northeast. So the northeast might get a little reprieve from the second go around here. He's not for certain, but that's what he think is more inclined to do. Yeah, propane. My parents are on propane since they're out in the sticks. Got a big old tank. Can I shout out Nick? Nick? Hey, Nick. Am I doing this right for what you wrote? Or are you saying I'm Nick like old Saint Nick because of my beard? Right on, propane. Yeah, I got, 6 tanks, the small grill tanks I have. Rotate on my generator during summer times. Oh, okay, it's your son. Hey, Leopold. Hi, Nick. How you doing, Nick? Howdy, howdy. Leopold, what part of the country are you at? See, I'm not getting other people's chats. Not seeing. You might have to put it to all chats, GXG. I know, as I'm the one giving the live, I think it shows me all chats. But other people watching, if you're on your computer, I know at the top of the chat thing, there's a selection for top chats or all chats. So you might need to switch it to all chats to see everyone. And there's only 3 people in the room at the moment. Thank you for the likes. And thank you for the subs, subscriptions. Appreciate that. Please check out my other videos. Hopefully there's something in there on tips, tricks, and hacks that might be able to help or give you an idea for something. Everything down to protecting your own credit cards from data theft with those RFID blocking sleeves. I mean, I don't make money on that. It's just something I found I wanted to use to protect my own stuff. Thought I'd share it, show how it works. And at the gas pump on the tap reader, with it in the sleeve, the card won't be read. It doesn't read the card. So other people with scanners to scan your data and numbers from your info on your tap readers and your cards, or transmitters, when they're in those sleeves, or you can get a wallet that's protective. So there's a lot of neat stuff like that to, put in that cup of ice, put it in the freezer, set a coin on top of it. So you put water in a cup, put it in the freezer, let it freeze, then put a coin on it when it's frozen. If you leave town for a week or something like that, and then you come back, if that coin's halfway down or all the way at the bottom, maybe your other products in your freezer may have thawed. Don't know for how long, but it might not be good. I even tried that bit with a 9-volt battery, grounding it against steel wool and getting sparks and flame to be able to try to start a fire. I showed about those electric arc lighters. They're pretty good. The electric arc stuff, at least those lighters being electronic, you need to put them in a Faraday box or can or tin. So I show about that using cookie tins or popcorn tins. I didn't show the popcorn tin, I showed the cookie tin, but you can do it with popcorn tin to protect handheld electronics from EMP, electromagnetic pulse. That's always handy. And plus you protect it from dust and elements. Three-way benefit. So let's see what else I got on there. If you have a Dodge Grand Caravan and you had to replace the front brakes, yeah. I showed doing that, showing replacing the rear blower motor for the rear AC in that Caravan. I tried to show some how-tos on the video, or different videos. So yeah, just try to help people out. If I had to do it myself and other people can, I try to show at least what I did, that maybe they can do the same. I'm not sure it's always safe for someone to work on their own car, depending on the person or individual. But yeah, if you are well inclined, at least some of the classes I took at our community college when I was young was fundamentals to automotive technology and auto electric course, so I could work on some of the basic items on my car, save some money. And if you get those type of courses where you're at and you're able to take them, they can be helpful, as those repair shops are not cheap these days. You know, I do all my own oil changes. Since I drive Uber, I go through a bit of miles. So, you know, instead of $90 to $120 at the shop or the oil change place, do it myself, and I'm only out about $40 on the oil and oil filter. So, you know, I save a lot of money by being able to do it myself, since I have to do it more often. Well, guys, I'm gonna let you go. I know Gen X Gemini, you're gonna have to peel off soon, because you're gonna be having to leave work. And then anybody else out there, Leopoldo and Nick Trumpula and everybody else, thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me for a few. I look forward to being able to talk with you guys on the next chat. Don't forget to check out Winning Realities show and Talking Trash and something. Oh, she goes by T3. Now I can't remember it. She normally posts up in the chats on Winning Realities videos. He goes over a lot of info and more detail about some of the history and connections with different people in government to this, that, and the other. So it's interesting to watch and listen. Nice to meet you as well. Definitely nice to meet you too. And look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a good night. Stay warm. Yeah, don't let the cold bugs bite.